So you need to unmute yourself.
All right, someone had a doubt.
So
So the
me,
person
Indraja.
who had a doubt, can you join? Yeah, Indraja, please say.
So you said an angle of 0 degree and 180 is made 11 times in 12 hours.
Mhm.
So the 11 times is including both 0 degree and 180 or only 0 degree?
So both these angles, so 0 degree also happens 11 times and 180 degrees also happens 11 times.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
So
sir.
basically one over the other or one opposite to the other. It happens exactly 11 times in a clock. So if you guys want to know, once you finish your class, take out this clock and start rotating and see when this coinciding happens and when this. So imagine the clock. You realize that 12 o'clock there is a coinciding that is happening within the two hands. Can you tell me when will be the next coinciding that happens?
6:30.
No. Do you realize between 1 5 there is a coinciding that's happening?
Oh yeah.
Imagine your clock at 1 5. हाँ सारे दीवार पे देखो लटक रहा होगा क्लॉक है ना मितुषी मिला तुम्हें क्लॉक तुम्हारा right so 1 5 is the time when you will find this clock having making almost 0 degrees because it's coinciding and the next coinciding will happen around 2:10
2:10.
then around 3:15. I'm not saying exact time is 2:10 or exact time is 3:15 but somewhere close to that, right? So 3:15, 4:20, 5:25, 6:30, 6:35 के बीच में, then 7:35, 7:40 के बीच में, then 8:40, 8:45 के बीच में. So that ways it coincides, and the 11th coincide happens between that now understand this, that when the time is 11 o'clock and your clock starts moving, the coinciding will happen only at 12. Because when your clock is moving from 11 to 12, your minute hand is moving and the hour hand is also moving. And the exact coinciding will happen when the minute hand or hour hand is striking 12. And striking 12 means you have reached not 12 hours, but you have reached the 13th hour. Remember defense timing? 00 hours, 1200 hours, then 1300 hours. So you have reached the 13th hour. So you will not take that strike as and thus you will get only 11 times in a 12-hour period or 12 times in a day. Okay. Now making that as a statement, saying that the next important point that we need to know is that every other angle, any angle that comes in your mind, okay, every other angle, there is an exception of one angle which is 120 degrees, but I do not want to include that because it's confusing and that's hardly anything. So we'll just generalize it saying that every other angle happens twice in an hour. Okay, every other angle happens twice in an hour means it happens 22 times in a 12-hour period. In 12 hours, it happens 22 times, which means in a day, that is in 24 hours, it will happen 44 times. So I repeat, apart from 0 degrees and 180 degrees, every other angle happens twice in an hour, which means it happens 22 times in a 12-hour period and 24 times in a, 44 times in a day. So do you realize that it's exactly double of what you did in the first point? Right? It's exactly double of what you did in the first point. So you can remember only one point and you will automatically derive the other one. Okay. So for example, I want each one of you to imagine, because you guys are good in imaginations, I want each one of you to imagine the time 3:05 in your clock. So do you find an angle there? Forget what the angle is. Okay, I do not want you to calculate the angle, but do you know that there is an angle in 3:05 when the time is 3:05? Right. Do you realize that the same angle of 3:05 can occur when your time is between around 3:25? All of you? Can you imagine this? I'm not saying exactly, but around the same time, right? So when the time is 3:05, there is an angle, whatever the angle is, let's say x degrees. The same x degrees occurs when the time is around 3:25, which means between 3 and 4, did that x degree happen twice? Yes, it did happen twice, right? And that's what the second point says. The second point says that every other angle apart from that 0 degrees and 180 degrees will happen twice in an hour. Okay, which makes us come to the most important information, and that is that in our first question, what we did, we said, what is the angle at 320? And it was easy for me to give an angle at 320 because,
Sir,
yes,
sorry, I have a doubt.
yes, Karen, please tell me.
So if you say now 3, 5 and 325, right? That's the same angle. But wouldn't it also be at like 9, like 9:35 and 9:55
So,
as well?
yeah, so Karen, what is happening is at 9:35 and 9:55, it's a different hour of the day. The statement said that the two angles will happen within the same hour. What does within the same hour mean? 3 to 4 is 1 hour.
Okay, sorry. I thought it was okay. Thank you, sir.
Not in a day, not in a day. Within an hour, it will happen twice. So between 3 and 4, it will happen twice. Between 4 and 5, again, it will happen twice. Between 5 and 6, again, it will happen twice. Right? Okay. So now, let's assume that the time is 3:20. Now, in my previous question that we did, when the time was given to you, there was only one angle. So it was easy for me to find the angle. Okay. So when they say that, okay, time is 3:20, what would have been the angle? The first thing is I'll find the hour's distance. R is 3 into 30 plus half into 20, which is 90 plus 10, 100 degrees. And minute is 20 into 6, which is 120 degree. And the difference between the two is 20 degrees. All of you. Clear with this? This is the first kind of a question that we were doing, right? The angle between the two hands. Right, so it was easy. So if someone says, okay, what is the angle when the time is 3:20? Everyone can say the angle between the two hands is 20 degrees. But now if I say, what is the time? I am writing this down only because the internet connectivity may make you lose certain notes. Okay, that's why I'm writing this information down. So please don't mind the handwriting. What is the time when the angle is 20 degrees and the R hand is between 3 and 4? So the question can come like this. What is the time when the angle is 20 degrees and the R hand is between 3 and 4? So can I say that the time is 3:20? Yes, I can say,
No.
and I'm not, yeah, so I can say and I'm not wrong. Okay, but when will I be wrong? I will be wrong when I say the time is only 3:20. That's when I am wrong, because in that statement I'm saying that 20 degrees is happening only when the time is 3:20, which is absolutely wrong. No, 20 degree can also happen when the time is, let's assume when the time is 3. This angle can also be 20 degrees. Basically the mirror of this. So which means when an angle is given, you have two different timings. So this is one question, this is one kind of information which I will solve today. The third kind of information is not important, right? Now, so basically how do I solve this kind of a question? It says, okay, the question is, let's consider the same question. What is the time when the angle is 20 degrees and the hour hand is between 3 and 4? Okay, I'll ignore this part. So what are the information I have? I know that the hour hand is between 3 and 4, means it has, the time is 3 hours and something minutes. So let's say the time is 3x. Okay, the 3x means x minutes past 3. This is the time. So now let's look at the hour hand journey. What has the hour hand done? The hour hand has traveled for 3 hours and the hour hand has traveled for x minutes. I hope you understood why x into 1 by 2. Because every minute is half a degree, right? So that's what we had done here also. Now this is the journey made by the hour hand. Now let's look at the journey made by the minute hand. The minute hand in this left hand side case is only 20 minutes. So in this case, the minute hand's journey is only x minutes. So x into 6, which is 6x. Whereas the hour hand's journey is completely 90 plus x by 2. How do you get this 20 degrees angle? When you take a difference between these two values. Okay, when you take a difference between the two values, that's when you get the journey, the angle between the two values. So now I'm erasing the left hand side so that I can understand, so that I can basically, oops, what did I do? Okay, so now I want you guys to look into this. Okay, we say that the angle made is when I take the difference 90 plus x by 2 minus 6x is 20 degrees. Can I write the same thing? Can I write what I wrote in the left hand side as 6x minus 90 plus x by 2 equal to 20? Can I write this? Am I right or am I wrong here? I am actually right in this case, because how do we find angle? We find angle by taking the difference between the two hands. That's how we used to find angle. Now, this is one hand journey on the right hand side. If you see, this is one hand journey 90 plus x by 2, and this is the other hand journey 6x. So I have to take a difference between this. What is the difference between A and B? It can be A minus B or it can be B minus A, because it depends on what is bigger. So what is the difference between the two? It can be 90 plus x by 2 minus 6x or 6x minus 90 plus x by 2. In this, both of them, I will get an x value which is talking about the minutes. Okay, so please remember this value. I'm going to retake a new sheet. So basically I'm saying 90 plus x by 2 minus 6x is equal to 20. So let's solve this. Because 20 is smaller than 90, I will take this one to the right hand side and I will take this one to the left hand side. So what will I have? 90 minus 20 is equal to, when I take this one to the right hand side, minus 6x will become plus and x by 2 will become minus x by 2. Okay, I hope you understand. We are not dividing or multiplying, we are taking to the left hand side and right hand side, so the sign changes. 90 minus 20 is 70. 6x minus x by 2, 2, 6x, 12x minus x by 2, which is 11x by 2. But what is x? X is nothing but 70 into 2, 140 by 11. Whatever value I get, forget it. I'm not interested in going beyond that. Now, which was the other equation? 6x minus 90 plus x by 2, okay, equal to 20 degrees. So that is 6x. When I open the bracket, the minus gets multiplied all across all the spaces. That's 20. Now this 90 is minus, so I will take it to the right hand side. So I'll have 6x minus x by 2 is equal to 20 plus 90, which is 110. 6x minus x by 2 is 11x by 2. 11x by 2 is 110. So what is x? 110 into 2 by 11. 11 tens are, that is 20. So what does this 2 mean? 1 means that my time is 140 by 11 minutes past 3, or my time is 20 minutes past 3. Did you understand the two timings? This is what we had given earlier, right? In the previous question that we did. This was the time given and we got the angle as 20 degrees. But now in this question, the angle is given and we need to find the time. So whenever an angle is given to you, you got to find a time, and you will always end up finding two different timings if the angle is not 0 and 180. Because apart from 0 degrees and 180 degrees, every angle happens twice in an hour. So this is the time, and please understand, this is also a time. Okay, just because it is in 140 by 11, it doesn't mean that this is not a time. This is also a time. These are the timings that is done even in Olympics, right? When you go to nanoseconds, microseconds types, right? So milliseconds kind of a thing. So this is what the time is. So the time can be two values. One is 140 by 11 minutes past 3, and one is 20 minutes past 3. These are the two different timings which will give me 20 degrees. Okay. So what I will do is I will share you a concept note on clocks again, where these informations are available, followed by certain examples and certain questions. Okay, start solving them so that you get used to it. This might seem complicated to many of you, but trust me guys, this is one of the most easiest ones. Okay, so I will do one last question for you before we bid bye. Okay, I know it's going to be time because 7 o'clock there is some other session, Rimjin, for these students.
Yes, it's for them also. So I just need to inform all of them about it. But you can continue and we can end that in 5-10 minutes and I'll explain them.
Yeah, so I need 5 minutes. So I'm taking this time to explain you one last question. Okay. The question is this, that what is the time when angle is, let's say, 40 degrees between any you can take any hour, let's say 1 and 2. So how do I solve this question, right? So the way to solve this is, first take a time. Between 1 and 2 means what? That it's struck 1, right? My clock has struck 1. So it should be, the time should be some minutes past 1. That should be my time. Now what is this some minutes? I don't know. So let's say X. Okay. Or if people are confused with X, let's say it is M. Okay. So we know that HH, MM, SS is the format. So I'll take MM as the time. Okay. Now it means that I have passed MM minutes or X minutes. So if it is 1 hour and X minutes, the hour hand has moved for 1 hour, which is 30 degrees, and X minutes, which is half a degree. I'm taking X because I'm comfortable with X, okay? You guys can take anything you want. That means this has traveled 30 plus X by 2. And what is the travel done by the minute hand? It's for X minutes that it has traveled, and X minutes means X into 6 degrees or 6x degrees. So these two are the angle made by the hour hand. Okay, sorry, made by the hour hand and the minute hand. So what is the angle now? So how do I find an angle? So as I said, angle is found by taking the difference. But what should I take the difference? So it's like this, guys. Let's assume you have some money and I have some money. Who has more and how much? How do you know this? How much more? How do we know? We got to take difference about the amount you have and I have. What difference will you take? Your amount minus my amount or my amount minus your amount? You will always take the difference of bigger value minus smaller value. But you do not in this case know which is a bigger value and which is the smaller value. Which means you got to take the difference of 30 plus x by 2 minus 6x, as well as you got to take the difference of 6x and 30 plus x by 2. Did you understand these two things? Because this is the two most important things. If you understood this, you can understand anything. Right? So I have to take 30 plus x by 2 minus 6x because I do not know which one is bigger. And thus, I also need to know take 6x minus 30 plus x by 2 because in this case, 6x might be bigger. But all I know is the difference between the two angles here should give me 40 degrees because that's what the angle that I'm searching for in the question. So the difference here should give me 40 degrees and that's what the angle that I'm searching for. Which means that if I solve equation number 1, I should get a value of x. And if I solve equation number 2, I should also get a value of x. But I have to be careful only on one thing. And this is where you guys have to remember. That I have to ensure that the x value that I get is less than 60. Do you know why? Have you ever seen a time which says 175? No. Have you ever seen a time which says 160? No. The worst you would have seen a time is 159.59. Why? Because as soon as it strikes 60, this 1 will become 2. So you are now nowhere between 1 and 2. You are now between 2 and 3 because your clock has struck 2. Right? Because your question is talking about the hour hand between 1 and 2, you have to always ensure that the x value that you're getting is less than 60. In case your x value is more than 60, then that time I will not consider. I will not consider that value. That's all. I will now go to the next value and understand it. Okay. So you got to search for the x value in 1 and x value in 2, and that's all the answer is. Tell me,
Sir, I
guys.
have a doubt.
Yes, please.
So if you further solve the the equation, that is 30 plus x by 2 minus 6x is equal to 40. You get it in negative. So what are you supposed to do?
Are you getting it negative?
Yeah, I'm getting a negative. I'm getting
So you got
minus
to agree.
11 mm is equal to 10.
Which means that there is no time in that case. Because
Okay,
minutes cannot be in negative.
We consider the next one.
Yeah, we consider the next one. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So as said, either it is less than 60 and x is in minutes, right? So minutes always has to be equal to or greater than 0. It can be 0 because if it is 0, then I'm talking about a time as 1. But it can't be negative because your minutes cannot be negative. Can you hold negative amount in your purse, in your wallet? No, you can't, right? So certain values cannot be negative and certain values cannot be beyond its limit. Okay, it cannot be beyond the limit. 12:01 in the afternoon is not noon. It is past noon. It cannot be beyond the limit. So beyond 60 minutes, I cannot have a value. In fact, I cannot have a value of 60 also, and I cannot have a value below 0. So these are the two things that you should keep in mind while solving for x. So since here the angle is negative, the x value is 0, I mean less negative, so this I will discard. And this is the value that I'm going to search for. Whatever value of x I get here, that is my answer. Are we clear, guys?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, Kunal.
So you said that in an hour, the same angle repeats itself twice. So in this case, the same angle is not being repeated twice, or that negative is being rejected. So how that is true?
Okay, so when angle is 40 degrees between 1 and 2, let me check whether everything is right in this case. R is half
So,
of x.
I don't know. And you solve the equations, you get x is equal to 20 by 11 and x is equal to 100 by 11. There's no way you can get a negative value here. So how did she get a negative value for x?
Okay, let's see. Even I'm trying to check whether we are getting a negative value here. So 1 r and x minutes, right? So that is half of x
Yeah.
and 30.
I think the first equation will give you 20 by 11.
Are you sure about it? Because
I'm not. I'm asking you, but I
no,
don't
you
think
are
you can
getting a
get the.
negative.
So
I
the
think you are
first
going to.
equation gives a negative value, and the second equation gives 50 by 11, I think.
First should give you a negative if you look at this, because it is 30, right? It is 30 here and it is 40 here. So if I
Yeah,
take
sir.
30
So it'll become minus 20 that side, and you have minus 11x this side. So the minus both the sides gets cancelled, right? So you take.
Snehali, right? So Snehali,
Yes.
when you're taking this 30 to the right hand side, it is going to become 40 minus 30, which is 10 plus 10.
No, sir. I'm not doing that. I'm multiplying by 2 throughout the entire equation. So that will be 60 plus x minus xx is equal to you can do
No.
that, right? Why
No,
not?
the
Okay, so
11 actually, the 11
wait.
changes the sides.
Karen,
The 11
wait,
changes sides.
Karen,
Yes,
Karen,
sorry.
wait. Okay, so you multiplied by 2 throughout, right, Snehali?
Yeah.
So when
So
you
the 2
multiplied by
below will
2,
get cancelled.
okay, so what all values you got when you multiplied by 2? You got 60 plus x,
Plus x
then?
minus 12x.
Okay, great. Then?
Should be equal to 80.
Right.
Right,
So
no.
you got 60 plus x minus 12x
12x is equal to
80.
80.
Now, when you take the 60 to the right
Okay.
hand side, it doesn't become minus 20. It still remains as 20 plus 20.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry for the
Okay.
inconvenience.
It's okay. You learn from making mistakes. So yeah, there was someone who said who had a good point here, saying that when you say that the angle happens twice in an every hour. So remember when I said when I made that statement, I also said there are exceptions which you can think of ignoring, like 120 degrees being one. So there are certain exceptions which you can ignore when it comes to these, and these kinds of exceptions are very small compared to the large number of conditions that match. So 40 degree in this case, for example, in this case 40 degrees is an angle between 1 and 2 which doesn't happen. Okay, what is the value of x here? Can you guys tell me what is the value of x in the second statement that you found?
It's 140 by 11.
50 by 11.
140 by
Sorry,
11.
please.
It's 140 by
150 by
11.
140 by 11.
140 by 11.
140
okay,
by 11.
okay, there are a lot of people talking here. 140 by 11. Okay, so 140 by 11, when I take 140 by 11, guys, what is 140 by 11? 140 by 11 is 11 ones are
12.72.
11, 12 point
12.73.
0.73. Now, what is happening is, okay, so let's understand this. What's happening here? Do you realize that 12-minute is, now look at your clock, all of you, and do you realize that 12-minute is when the minute hand crosses the hour hand? Do you guys have a clock in front of you? 1:12. When the time is 1:12, do you realize that the minute hand is now ahead of 1? Yeah? 1:12, the minute hand is ahead of the hour hand. Now you know what, guys? An angle of two times angle happens once when the minute hand is in front of the hour hand and once when the minute hand is behind the hour hand. Look at your clock again. Tell me when the time is around 3:10 and when the time is around 3:20. Okay, 3:10 and 3:20. Do you realize that the minute hand in one position is above the hour hand and in the other position the minute hand is below the hour hand? Yeah, so which means if I have to have two angles, the minute hand has to have a mirror image, correct? But when it is 1:12, when the time is 1:12, the mirror image of 1:12 will be when the hour hand is in 12. The mirror image of 1:12 पीछे जाओ उसको, तो तब hour hand 1 में नहीं रहेगा कभी. It will be somewhere in 12 o'clock. Which means you are not making an angle of 40 degree between 1 and 2. You're actually making an angle of 40 degree between 12 and 2, twice. Okay, so there are some angle. So for those who can imagine, it's okay. Those who cannot imagine, forget, don't scold your clocks. It can't do anything there. Okay, but just remember this, that majority 90% of the angles that you have are made twice in an hour, in an hour period of time. But there may be only one, there may be around few angles, right? Like 40 degrees that we found here, then 120 degrees that we find in certain other angles or certain other time period. These are the angles which happens, doesn't happen always twice in an hour. Okay, but that's why I said let's not get into integrity of it. We can directly generalize saying that 0 and 180 degrees happens 11 times in a day. I mean in a 12-hour period, 22 times in a day, whereas every other angle happens twice in an hour. Generalizing. You may get into exceptions, but you know the conditions how you got to eliminate them. Your minute, the time that you're talking about, the minute that you're searching for should always be between 0 and 60 degrees. I mean 60 minutes. If it's below 60, below 0, it means that you're talking about the previous hour. And if it is above 60, you're talking about the next hour. Right? Okay, so we'll continue with the maths, that is numbers, in the next session. I'll try sharing before that informations that I have in clocks. If I do not have much of information by then, on that day I will try to add, because I have to make certain information. So I have to make certain content. So I'll make the content and share it with you guys. And till then, enjoy your clocks.
Thank you,
Any
Anand.
doubts, any queries?
Anyone has any doubts, please clear them, write it on the chat.
I believe no one has. I have not got even a single message asking doubt or asking anything information. So I believe no one has a doubt. All are either too studious to open books or no doubts at all. Giving you my number once more. Any doubts, please feel free to shoot. I believe there are certain sheets or certain questions that Rimjin ma'am would have shared with you guys on numbers and on certain informations. Okay, so while solving them, if you have some doubts, please ask. If you solve only on those concepts for which we have done some class right now, because numbers are still pending, right? So as and when we cover the rest of the topics, you can start solving the rest of the questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anand sir.
Oh, thanks, Shubhankar. That's nice. Thank you. I like such appreciations. So Shubhankar wrote to me that I teach well. So I like, thanks for such appreciations. Right. Yeah, Ranjan, please continue. Thanks a lot.
So guys, there's an announcement. Currently, there's a live session happening on a YouTube channel, which is of your senior batch, the students that have cleared NIFT exam, and experts like, Javed sir, Pranav, Pradeep Rathore sir, sorry, and Govind sir will be giving the feedback online for their work that they have done. It would be great if you can go and watch, because anyways you would be preparing for the same. So kindly go there and watch their work and get inspiration, take the feedback and see and check how much ranks that they'll be getting. And we'll meet Anand sir in the next session again. Thank you, Anand sir, and thank you, students.
Thanks, Ranjan. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
See you again.